So, tell us a little about yourself then.
My name is Jessica, and I am undocumented. I was brought to the U.S. At the age of 2, and we overstayed our visas, and that's how we gained a new legal status. I was born in a city called Morelia, in a state called Michoacan in Mexico, and I don't remember anything of it. And I've been living here in Chicago for 16 years of my life. Now I'm at DePaul University studying communications.
Okay. So, are you able to go back to Mexico then, since you're undocumented?
No. Being undocumented means that you can't go. If you go back, you wouldn't be able to come back easily unless you cross the border, which is there's a lot of risks to it. But if we were to leave voluntarily, we wouldn't be able to come back to the U.S. We would be prohibited to come in 10 years. So.
Okay. Yeah. So, how does this make you feel then that you can't go back to Mexico, your native land?
It's very frustrating. I think what kind of hurts the most is, well, I don't know any of Mexico or any of my family over there, but I think what's the hardest thing is that, like, my dad can't go back and see his own brothers and sisters. I mean, I have everyone that I've known here, but for him it's so much harder because his family is over there and he hasn't seen them for so long.
Okay. So, what do you consider your home then? You have your native land where you were born in Mexico, and you have where you grew up here in the U.S. What do you consider your home then?
That's something I kind of always debate on, especially because, I was born in a country, and I haven't been there in 16 years. I was raised in this country. So there's always this feeling of non-belonging to either one. And yeah, I wish I knew. Like, most of the time when people ask me like where are you from, I say Mexico. But there's times that I'm like, well, I was born over there, but am I really from there? Like, I don't deny it or anything, but it's just hard to say that's my home when I haven't lived there for 16 years out of my 18 years. So, I would say this is my home, even though many times I feel that it hasn't been very welcoming to immigrants, and especially to the undocumented community. And yeah, even though I would say it's home because my parents are here, but if my parents were to go back, I would say Mexico is my home. So I feel that home would be wherever my family is located.
Okay. So in terms of your heritage, then, how well do you feel connected to the Mexican culture, considering you've never been to Mexico since you were 2 years old?
What do you mean by heritage? Like
how well do you feel connected just to the Mexican way of life or culture, how you're raised?
I feel very connected to it. I love my culture. I embrace it. Spanish that's my first language, so pretty much the Mexican culture is on top of the American culture. At least for me, my parents have instilled all their customs and traditions that they practice in Mexico, and it's something really beautiful for me. At least I like to go to the posadas or go to las mañanitas for Virgen de Guadalupe, or celebrate Dia de los Muertos, go to the Via Crucis. All of these things that are so valuable for our parents it should also be valuable to us. So I would say I feel very connected to my heritage and customs and traditions.
So, you yourself though, how do you feel connected? Like, are you like connected to your culture strictly, or do you feel you have assimilated to American culture in any way, or Americanized in any way?
That's another hard question. Because I've lived here for so long, it's hard to, distinguish what is what, like what part of me is American, what part of me is Mexican. I feel like it's all just kind of mushed in together, because, like it has definitely played, the American culture has definitely played a role in my life, or else I wouldn't listen to, American music, or watch sitcoms on TV, or any of these things. But at the same time, I also follow, the Mexican culture, and so, like I told you before, the Wonder Bread coexists with the tortilla at my house. So both of them are very present.
So do you think your family, do you think they're well connected to their culture, the Mexican culture, or have they Americanized in any way, considering most of your family has been to Mexico already, but they're here in America right now, so have they Americanized, or have they just kept their customs?
I don't think they've assimilated to the American culture. If anything, I feel they've adapted in certain ways to it, but not assimilated or completely left what they believed in to replace with the culture here in the United States. They wouldn't leave it. That's one of the things that I am so proud of them, that they never told us, like, here you're gonna speak English, like forget about Spanish. They rather said, try to speak Spanish as much as you can, because it's important not to forget it. And also, every time like a special occasion comes that, in Mexico you celebrate it, they'll tell us about it and give us a little history on it. So I feel that for them it's very important not to forget where they came from.
Like you said, you're a college student at DePaul. What would you say, like, challenges are, like, for a young adult, such as yourself, school with anything here in the U.S., considering you're undocumented?
It's always, since I graduated high school, I kind of felt like I was hiding something from myself. Like, if people said, hey, why don't you drive, I would be like, oh, I don't like to drive, or I'm not good at it, to kind of hide away that I couldn't drive because I couldn't get a driver's license. And so it's just all these little lies that, I had come up with to kind of, put aside the fact that I am undocumented. And now, I'm not scared anymore to say, hey, you know what, I'm undocumented. It's not something that I am ashamed of anymore. It's not something that I fear anymore, because I feel that I've done, so much to be where I am right now, that, there's no reason to be afraid of something that I have, like, it's nothing wrong. Like, I'm not a criminal, or, I've never stolen or killed anyone. So, but there are definitely all these barriers and frustrations in school. School is one of them. It's probably the biggest as a student. Not being able to pay for my tuition. I can't. I'm currently at DePaul, but next year I won't be able to be there because I can't afford it, and I can't receive financial aid. And it's frustrating because it's always been my dream to be in a 4-year, university, but I won't be able because I can't get financial aid, and my parents obviously can't help me. And I wish there were other answers, because if I've worked as hard as anyone else in high school, I should be able to get the same opportunity, but it's not like that. And it's very frustrating to have to deal with that mentality that even, going to school and in lunchtime I have to decide whether to eat or whether save that money for school, for books. And it's traumatic. Sometimes it is traumatic because, you don't know what to do, you don't know how you can help your family. It's this, desperation of, how am I going to make it next year? How am I going to pay next year for school? How am I going to help my parents? It's very hard. can't do a lot of the things most of my friends can, and that's also another frustrating thing.
Is there any final words you would like to say?
I think that, it's important to know these kinds of stories, and I didn't completely tell my story, but understanding what all these struggles and things that people have to go through kind of help us understand a little part of the world, and I hope that we kind of understand something.